Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to take a look at another important aspect of construction documents, and that is our construction document title sheets. Alright, so we talked about title sheets a little bit in the very first lecture that I put out for this module, but in this video we're going to specifically focus on how we can start putting our own title sheet together within Revit. All right, so I'm on this web page here that kind of gives just an overview of the contents of CD sets, and I just want to show you more of a professional example of a title sheet. Now, this isn't the best resolution, so it might be difficult to see everything, but hopefully we can pick out the most important parts. All right, so first off, top left, we see just big text indicating information about the project. So the project name, project address, things like that. Also things about revisions, but we're not going to have to worry about that too much. Down here you can see we have a project vicinity. So this is just a aerial view of the site location where the project is. We have a key plan, which is indicating to us the areas of the project that are being worked on, and then any areas that are not in contract are going to be highlighted or shaded in this gray color. And then we also have symbol legends. Okay, so our symbol legends, if I scroll down here, these are basically all the architectural symbols that are used, throughout the entire project that you're going to be seeing pretty much on every sheet. Okay, so we want to indicate to somebody reading those, what do these mean? All right, these aren't always going to be standard shapes. Usually they'll be pretty consistent from project to project across the industry, but sometimes certain firms will customize the shape of these a little bit, and so it's important to note on your title page what each of these symbols means, so that if somebody's reading it, they can for sure know, okay, this is a wall tag, or this is a door tag, this is a window tag. All right. And then we also have our drawing index, all right, which I believe they are showing over here on the right hand side perhaps, but this is just an index showing you every single sheet throughout the project and its name and its sheet number. There are also a few other things on here. These are most likely revisions, since they have this little cloud around them. Revisions, again, are just indicating that a change was made to the drawing set, and then this is an updated version of the drawing set, and it's just noting what version the current drawing set is, essentially. And then you'll also typically see things that are building code related, or just general notes that apply throughout the entire project. And I covered those a little bit in our first video, but we're not going to worry too much about those for our purposes, because those, again, are going to be things that are handled by sort of the codes people at the companies you'll be working at. And a lot of it will be handed to you, so you're not going to need to go in and reproduce all of that from scratch usually. And if you do it for a school assignment, it's usually just going to be a very brief codes review that is tied specifically to what you're doing inside the project. So we're not going to focus too much about that for our purposes. All right, so I'm going to hop over to Revit and just show you how we can start putting some basic things into a title sheet. All right, so the first thing that we have to do, obviously, is create a title sheet. And this is something that we didn't have added to our template that we created, and you could go in and add this to the template if you want, or you can just create it from scratch in the project. It's pretty easy to do. So all you got to do is go over to your sheets, right click, and then you just want to make a new sheet, give it your title block, click OK, and then we're just going to call this one title sheet. I'm going to call this one title sheet 2, because I'm gonna sort of recreate the one that I already made just to show you how I did it. All right, and I'm just gonna call this G102. My other one is called G101. Another thing that I've done here, which you can go ahead and do too, is I've arranged these in my project browser by their prefix. All right, so this is indicating the series. So if you remember, we have our A sheets, which are architectural, and then we have like mechanical and electrical and plumbing. So those would be like M, E, and P. And then G is just going to be general. So things like title sheets and stuff like that would go on the G series. So the way that I organize that is I right clicked on the sheets and then I went to browser organization. That takes you to the sheets tab here, and then I just set this to sheet prefix. If I click on edit here and you go to grouping and sorting, you just want to set that to be grouped by sheet number, and then click OK and then apply and OK. And that's just going to give you these letters here. So you can see all my A sheets, and then I have my G sheet there. All right. So there's my new sheet, all right, and it's blank. There's not really anything on here. So I have my original title sheet, and then I have my new one. Now, the first thing that we want to look into adding on here is our drawing index, okay? So if I go back to my example, this is my drawing index, and what this is actually just a type of schedule, all right? So we've already talked about schedules, but we can use the scheduling tool to put together a list of all of our drawings for us, and then we can just plop that directly onto our title sheet, which is really nice. So the way that we do that is we want to, let's go back to our view here. We want to go up to the view tab and then go to schedules and then sheet list. All right, so if I click on sheet list, what I want to add in here is first the sheet number, and then I want to add in the sheet name. Now, something else that I want to do is have a way to organize these sheets, okay? So what Revit is going to do within this schedule is it's going to organize the way that the sheets are appearing in the schedule based on these letters here. So, you know, we have A and we have G currently. Since G comes after A in the alphabet, it's going to sort within our schedule our title sheet at the very bottom of the index, which is not what we want. All right, so we want a way to actually control that. All right, so the way that we do that and change the order of how they appear within the schedule is clicking on this new parameter button. And then you just want to create a new parameter called sheet order. And I've already created this, so it's going to not really do what I want, or it's going to give me an error. So you just call your sheet order. I'm going to call mine sheet order 2. And then you want to make sure that this is set to a integer parameter and just leave that as other. All right, then click OK. And then that's going to add that in there at the end. So we want sheet number, sheet name, and then sheet order. So then I'm going to click OK. Once I do that, that takes me to my schedule. And you can see I have all of my sheets here the way that I would expect them to be. And like I said, here at the bottom, we have our G sheets, and those are appearing last in our schedule. So the way that we fix that is we assign zeros, or we assign lower numbers to these than the rest of these. So for instance, if I wanted this to be the first one, I would assign let's try a 0 for that. And then let's just do a 0 here as well. So nothing changed, and that's because of the way that we are ordering these. So we have to mess with our sorting and grouping. So if I go into there, the first thing, I want to sort this by the sheet order, all right? And then I want to set this to descending. So let's set that to descending and click OK. And you can see that moved all of those up to the top. And since I set both of those to 0, it's now going G101, G102, and then A101, which is perfect. That's what we want. Then all I need to do is hide this column, because I don't want to actually show that column within the schedule. All right, that's simply there for our ordering purposes. So we can actually hide that. So if we click on the C and then right click, we can go to hide columns, and that's going to get rid of it. And that's looking more the way we want. Now we can rename this, and I'm going to call mine drawing index 2, but you can call yours drawing index, obviously, because you don't have 2 of them. So drawing index 2. All right. So we have our sheet number and our sheet name, exactly how I want them. I I do though, I want to hide these because I don't really want sheet number and sheet name to show just because it makes it look a little bit more cluttered. So I'm going to go back in here to my formatting, and let's see, maybe it's on appearance. Okay, we want to go to appearance, and then we want to go here to where it says show headers, and we want to uncheck that and then click OK, and that's going to hide those. So this is kind of what we're looking for. Then I'm going to justify my title to the left, so horizontal line left, and under appearance again, I'm going to set my title text to be a 1/4 inch Arial, so that shows up a little bit bigger. All right, and then that looks pretty good. So let me compare that with my original and make sure that that's the way I want it. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. Then all I have to do is go back to my title sheet. Right there. And I just want to drag my drawing index onto it. All right. Now, if we look at this, there's still probably a couple things we want to change about the appearance. So I think it looks a little bit better if you get rid of the outlines around everything. So what you can do is just double click into this and then go to appearance and uncheck grid lines like that. And then if I switch back to my sheet, you can see that appears a lot cleaner. It looks a little bit nicer. And then you can click on this and drag these column widths to just bring that in a little bit and expand the right side so that the whole thing shows. So there's my drawing index. And then as you add more sheets to your project, this is going to auto populate and update for you, which is cool. So you don't have to go in there and manually type anything. All right, so there's my drawing index. Not too hard to create. Another thing that you can do if you did not want, for some reason, certain sheets to show up in your sheet list, if you go to a sheet and then you go over here to the left side, so right now I'm on my title sheet 2, you can uncheck this appears in sheet list and it will disappear. All right, so that's pretty nice too. If you want to override that and not have that show up in these lists, you can do that right there. Okay, so what about some other things? So other things to consider would be our symbols legend. Okay, so the symbols legend is going to be created pretty much the exact same way as our door symbols legend, like I showed you in the last video. So to do that, we just have to go to View and then Legends, and then click on Legend. All right, and then this one I'm going to name Symbols Legend 2. Just call your Symbols Legend, and then just accept the default scale and click OK. So again, that's going to take us to just a blank view. All right, and let me bring my title sheet back up. All right, so here's our blank view. All we have to do to create a symbols legend now is go over here our left, on the left in our project browser. We want to find our family section, and we want to find our annotation symbols. Okay, so it's the second option here, and you just need to scroll through and find any important symbol that is used throughout the project and drag it in and include it in here. So you want to find these individual families. So for example, let's say I used callouts within my project. So I would want to go here to where it says callout head and expand that, and then right here where it says callout head underneath, you want to click and drag this into the viewport and click to place it. All right, so there's my callout head. Then let's do a ceiling tag. So I have a couple different types. I have a standard and a boxed. So I'm going to grab the boxed one, and you're going to want to use the version that you use within your project. So if all of your ceiling tags that you use have sort of that box around it, you want to use that. If they have the standard, which doesn't have a box, you want to use that one. All right, so there's ceiling tag. Door tag we can drag in, and again on yours you just want to expand these, click the plus, and then grab this here and drag. So then elevation mark. So we can use the filled arrow and click and just drop that in. So there's our elevation marker. And then we can use a furniture tag. So we can use the boxed version of the furniture tag. Room tag. And then let's put a section head in there. So that's going to indicate our sections. And then we'll do wall tag. And then window tag. And I think that's it. All right. So then once we've done that, we can go ahead and we can start arranging these in a way that looks a little bit better. So I think I'm going to do all of like the big ones first, like in terms of size. So let's start out with the elevation and then the section. And if we want to align things, we can use our detail lines. So we can just draw a detail line. If I wanted these all centered up, I could do that. And then I can zoom in here and use my arrow keys to nudge those so that they're pretty much centered on that detail line like that. All right, you just want to space these out reasonably so that you can see that there's that they're different and they're not all linked together. Then let's go ahead and do my room tag. And for this one, I might try to align that edge up there. And then we'll go with our wall tag. And then let's do ceiling tag and furniture tag. And then room tag, or door tag, I mean. And then the window tag. All right, so then I can just delete out this line. And then if I need to, I can nudge these apart a little bit. All right. Then what we need to do is just add in some text to sort of indicate what these symbols are. All right, so if I go in here to annotate and then text, I just want to add in some probably 1/8 inch text. So let me just call this elevation marker. And then I'm going to switch this to be an 1/8 inch Arial. Okay, and then we'll copy down. And this will be our section marker. Okay, copy. This will be our callout marker. And then we'll start getting into our tags. So we have room tag, and then we have wall tag, and then ceiling tag. Oops. Ceiling tag, and then furniture tag. And then door tag. And then window tag. All right, so that's pretty good. And then you can go in and adjust the position of these if you want to. And then I just want to put a title at the top of this. So I'm going to create another piece of text. I want to make sure I'm on 1/4 inch. And I'm just going to call this my symbols legend. All right, and then we're going to just left justify this. Just like that. All right, so there's my symbols legend. Then I can go back to my title sheet, and on my left-hand side here in my project browser, I'm going to go to my legends section. I'm going to drag my symbols legend onto here. All right, so now this is popping up like it's a view, so it gives it a title automatically, and we want to get rid of that. So the way you do that, if you don't remember from the last video, is you want to go to Edit Type, and you want to duplicate this and just call it viewport no title. Oh my gosh, title. And I'm going to call it no title 2 because I already have no title. And then you want to turn off view title and show title, and that should do it. So I'm going to click OK, and then that will go away. So there you can see is our symbols legend, and then we can just sort of align that with our drawing index. Now, when you're setting things up on a title sheet, or any sheet for that matter, something that you can do within your sheets is turn on a drawing grid. All right, so if I go in here on the left side, see if I can remember how to do this. It's not popping up for some reason. All right, so there's my drawing grid, but there's a way to create those, which I'm not seeing. Because on yours, it's probably not going to show up like that. I'm not sure why it's not showing up on mine. It was earlier on your modify tab, and it might be showing on yours. You should have additional options here when you are editing your sheet. All right, see, like it should be green right now on yours, and there should be an option to add in a guide grid. So you just want to click on guide grid, and then when you do that, after you say yes, over here on the left side under other, it'll say guide grid 1, and you can click on that, and it's just going to bring up these blue squares, and you can use those blue squares to align things. So there I can see I can just align this with that blue line there sort of at the top. And that allows you just evenly space and align things. And then when you're done with it, you can just go in here and click none and turn it off. So that's just a nice little feature, all right, that you can use. All right, so let's see what else do we have. So on my sample, another thing that I did here was I added just the name of the project in big text with the address. All right, so if I wanted to do that, whoops. If I wanted to do that on this one, all you have to do for that, again, is just use the annotate and then text tool. And I'm just going to call this one sample interior, or no, let's call it residential project. All right. And after we've made it, we're going to change the size of this. So I have mine as 1 inch, and you're not going to have that by default. So you just want to go here to edit type. You want to go duplicate and call this 1 inch Arial or whatever font you're using. I'm going to call it 2 because I already have it. Then come down here to text size and go 1 inch. All right. And that's going to make it plenty big enough. And we're just going to align that to the left. Okay. And then we're going to just copy this down. And then we're going to change this one to be 1/4 inch. Move it down a little bit more. And then we're going to change the text here to be the address. So let's see what the address I had was. So there's the address of the CAED building that I used as an example. So I'm going to copy and paste that there. All right, so just something like that. It's perfectly good. Then we have a key plan. All right, so a key plan could be optional. You don't necessarily need it, but I figured I would show you how to make a simple one in case you do feel that you need it to sort of illustrate what areas of your project are being worked on and what are not being worked on. So if you look at this, it's just a very small scaled down version of the floor plan, and anything that is in gray are things that are not in contract, so they are not being a focus of the project. All right, and that can be just helpful information to indicate to somebody who's looking at this. So a very easy way to do that is to use the method that I showed you for adding in the floor hatches based on rooms and color schemes. Okay, so if I go to my level 1 construction plan, and then I go here to my view tab, and then I go to plan views and floor plan, I'm going to go here to where it says type, edit type, and yours won't say key plan. You got to make it. So we're going to duplicate, and you're going to call the new type key plan, just like I have here. I'm going to leave mine as key plan 2, and then click OK. And then for the template, just set that to construction plan. That'll be fine. All right. Then we're going to click OK and OK. And that's going to give us a new view underneath of key plan. So yours will be under here. Mine's under key plan 2. And that's going to give us a new view. And we're just going to call this level 1 key plan. And I'll call mine key plan 2. Just call yours key plan. Say no to this. All right. All right, and then I have to set the level. Oh, so it made it level 2. I need to make mine associated with level 1. So let me try that again. Let's go to plan views, floor plan, key plan 2, level 1. There we go. All right. So next what I'm going to do is add in my color scheme to control the way that these appear. All right. So to do that, you just want to come over here to the left side. You want to go to color scheme where it says none and click on that. For category, you're going to click on rooms, and then you want to click on one of these ones that are blank. So I worked off of department. So you can click on department here, and then you can come down here to duplicate and duplicate that, and then just call that not in contract. Call mine not in contract 2. All right, and then you want to come up here to the title and call that key plan legend. Okay, and then for a value, so we're gonna have this value here, and you're going to, yours will be blank. So what you need to do is click add value. All right. And then you're going to call this not in contract. So just name it not in contract and click OK. And that's going to add it to this list here like mine is. So by default, mine is filling in with this green color on a solid fill. So I'm going to change that to be a gray color and just leave it as solid fill. And we're going to color this based on the department. All right. So just click department and click OK and then apply. So then what you have to do is click on each of these individual rooms, and you want to come over here to the left side, and this is coloring based on the department parameter that we have in here. Usually for our school projects we don't really use the department much, so this is a fine way to do this because this would not be utilized anyway, so we're going to use that for not in contract. But you want to come over here, and on your drop down menu you should have not in contract. So any room that you're not going to be touching for the project, you want to click on that and then click not in project or not in contract, and it's going to make it gray. All right, so I've just done that for these three right here. And then I'm just going to actually hide my little lines I have here. So modify, set this to invisible lines, and then we're going to hide those just by clicking on them twice. Okay. So those three rooms, I'm going to say I'm not working on those for my project. And then what I want to do is add in my legend here to this. So to do that, just go to annotate and then color fill legend. All right. And then we're going to plop that in underneath, and you can see it says key plan legend. Anything that's gray is not in contract, which is perfect. If you want to, you can edit the sizing of this. So you can set your title to be 1/4 inch and then your text here to be 1/8 of an inch or however big you want it. And you can change the size of these swatches if you need to. So if I wanted that to be a little bit smaller, so 3/8 of an inch, we could go 3/16 of an inch and see how that looks. So that looks maybe a little bit better. And then you can just add text over this, and you can call this level 1 key plan. All right. So this is going to have a view name tied to it like it would with any other view that you put onto a title block. Like it's going to put the view underneath, but for consistency's sake, it might look better to just put it in as a note like this, like I have here. So then we can just go back to our title sheet, and we can go here under key plan, and we can, well, let me rename that. All right. I can drag and drop that onto my sheet. Okay, so that's on my sheet. Now what I need to do is change the viewport type to the one that does not have a title to get rid of that. Then I need to crop my view down. So I'm going to double click to activate my view. Go over here to the left side, scroll down, check on crop view, and check on crop region visible. Then we're just going to click on this, and we're going to crop this way down just around the plan. Just like that. And then if we needed to, this is set to 1/8 of an inch right now. If you needed to make this smaller, you could change the scale of this to make it a little bit smaller. But again, if you do that, you might just want to turn off your view template like that, and then that will let you override the scale. So if you want to make that like a 1/16 of an inch, it really just depends on the size of the project. Like a 1/16 of an inch is going to be really tiny in this case. So I'm going to leave it at 1/8. But depending on your project, you might want to resize that to be bigger or smaller. All right, and then one last thing before we exit out of there, just uncheck crop region visible, click apply, and then double click to get back out of there. So there's my key plan, and I can just eyeball that and align it with some of the other things I have here. All right, and then I also had a couple of images on my example title sheet. So I have just a basic rendering, and then I have a project vicinity. So this is just a Google Maps image of the CAED location. All right, so that's very simple. All you do for that is you can just go in here, just go to Google Maps, find the location of your project, wherever it is. So I just typed in the Kent State CAED for mine. So you can use your real project and then just go in here with your snipping tool. So you can just type snipping tool, and then that'll bring up this. And then you can just do a new snip. All right, and just go around your location and then save that. Just like that. And then you want to go to Insert, Import Image. And I'm on the wrong sheet. I want to do that on G102. All right. Import image. Find that image, open, and then place that right on your sheet and give it a title. So we're going to go to Annotate, Text. I'm going to call this Project Vicinity. All right, and we'll just left align that. And then I'm just going to add in a rendering. So you could do this in a couple different ways. You could do it as a rendering, or you could do it as a 3D view. So let's just show you both ways. So if I were to go to my plan and just create like a 3D view with the camera tool like that. All right, so there's a basic 3D view of it. I can come back to my title sheet and I can just find that 3D view and I could drag that on and place that. So if this were like a nice looking view and you had like you know, shaded or realistic, you know, if you made this nice looking, this is not necessarily nice looking right now, but if you went through the effort to make it like look like a nice 3D view, you could just do something like that. Okay. Or if you've already done your renderings, you can just do the file method or the image method like I did here. So if you just go back to Insert and then Import Image, and if I find one of my images, nope, not there, Documents. All right, so you can just find a rendering you've already done and just put that in, and then you can scale it however you want. All right, and then we can copy this text over. And we can call this all right, something like that. Pretty simple. All right, so that's kind of the basics of the things that go on to a title sheet. Now, like I said, you might also have a list of generic notes and things like that, general notes. That's really simple to add in as well if you have them. So you can just create a basic schedule, and then you can go in and add in your own fields, your own custom fields, and you can just type all those notes out. And then you can paste those over onto here. So you can just drag and drop that onto here if you need to add those. But yeah, there's not really too much involved with doing this. As you can see, the process is pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of understanding what you actually need to add to this. All right. So I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. I'm also going to provide a few other videos, YouTube videos that cover notes a little bit more in depth, that are going to show you some techniques for putting together notes and annotating drawings. So keep an eye out for those, but make sure that you sort of follow along with what I've done here, and you just throw together just a very basic title sheet, a practice title sheet like this. You can work off of whatever you want. So if you want to work off one of our prior files that we've used in the last video, you can do that just like I've done here. Or if you want to draw up your own just like very simple basic floor plan like this, it doesn't have to be anything special, you can just do that too. But I just want you guys to practice putting these components onto a title sheet so that you sort of understand the process of it.